So when did you start making films? You started late, right?
Yes, I'm a late bloomer. I am.
Yes. You're a late bloomer in interviews too.
That gives hope to every young filmmaker. Just remember, like, you know, Van Gogh didn't even really start painting till he was like 34 or something. He was in his 30s. So there's always hope. Never give up. And walk slowly and drink lots of water. That's what Ken Kesey said when I asked him for advice as a writer. He said, walk slowly and drink, the great Ken Kesey, and drink lots of water. Meaning it ain't a sprint. It ain't a sprint. If you want to sprint, go into another business. Oh, that's why I was going to give you that great speech that happened in Louis C.K. about show business. That's what I was going to say about award season. The Joan Rivers episode of Louis C.K. is fantastic because she says, like, if you're going to be in this business, you should be passionate about it, so you should enjoy coming to these things and love these things, otherwise don't be in this business. That's what she says to Louis C.K. She gives him a wonderful speech. So that's my answer about award season. I think you should love it or you shouldn't be in this business. That's my personal opinion.
I was going to ask you, when did you first decide to go to?
I don't know. I was always thought like a writer because my dad was like a New York City kid, a butcher, the son of a butcher. He was an immigrant son from Russia. My mom, an immigrant's daughter from Italy, and they both met when they were 18 at Simon & Schuster, the publishing company. My dad was working as a salesman, and my mom was a secretary. So books were always a big deal in our home. They both came from working class families, but we had a lot of books in our house. So I knew my dad sold books, and that was a big deal. So I always wanted to be a writer. My parents, I credit them both with the quick wit and the talking and the liveliness, you know, that comes from them and all the family that I've known. That's a gift that I've especially discovered since The Fighter. That's been right under my nose my whole life. You know, it's a great treasure trove of humanity. So, in terms of making films, I was always writing short stories, and when I was like 12, this kid on my block entered a Kodak film contest. Dan Copeland entered we made a short film called The Freeloader that he made, that I helped, and I pretended to write, you know, because I didn't really, I just liked using the typewriter. I thought it was exciting and glamorous, you know. I was like 12 years old. And so I helped him type this script that I didn't really know how to write at that time, but, and then he got kind of won a little prize from Kodak at the time. And he went on to NYU Film School and told me all about someone called Martin Scorsese and all this stuff I'd never heard of. And my first film was a documentary about an immigrant from Central America to Boston who was being terrorized for being an immigrant, probably by friends of Mark Wahlberg. Because, as Mark would be the first to admit, he believes he ran with a very rough crowd from his neighborhood. And I met a lot of them. They ended up in the entourage, like, you know, there were real characters, they were really great characters. They would come to his trailer on Three Kings and ask if they could take the monitors, you know. So they were fantastic characters who have inspired Mark as well as myself. So I made that documentary about him because I was working in my 20s mostly teaching reading and writing to grown-ups who couldn't read and write, and English as a second language. And it was a great thing because I got to see all these communities and homes, like communities like in The Fighter and working class communities that my own family had come from. And my parents said, "You're the first person who went to college in our family. What are you doing in these poor communities?" We wanted to get the hell out of the poor communities. But I just was fascinated by it. I loved it. So I made a documentary about it. And I won a cable award. I made it in Boston because that's where I was living. And I got a cable TV award for that. And then I went and worked on anyway, that's the first one.
But